obviously, as we have already. And this one is interesting, lighthearted, but has a very intriguing element of history and how kind of kids and teenagers really just messed things up over time. They didn't care. They were lawless. And so I thought this would be a fun one. So yes, a imagine literally like be going to school and just seeing a corpse there like that. Like this was their way of blowing off steam, and it was very chaotic. A craft guide, a boy's craft guide stated, "This is the only evening where a boy can feel free to play pranks outdoors without danger of being pinched, and to his delight scare passing pedestrians, ring doorbells, and carry off the neighbors' gates." It was literally written somewhere that this was like cool to do, a guide for one boy's craft guide, apparently. According to this guide, could you imagine going outside and being like, kids took the friggin' gate again? That's so frustrating. But according to this guide, even if a boy had to fetch the gate he stole out of the tree he left it in, the punishment is nothing compared with the sports the pranks furnished for him. I don't really know what that means. But there was plenty of people, it was so normal. There's plenty of people that didn't really see this as harmless before the Great Depression. However, the Great Depression hit, and I think the mischief and pranks got a little more out of hand. So the economic disaster exacerbated young men's antics, leading to a very increased public concern and anger. In 1933, parents were outraged when hundreds of teenage boys went out and were flipping people's cars. They had sawed off telephone poles and engaged in other acts of vandalism across the country. I too would lose it if my truck was flipped. Lose it. So people began to refer to that year's Halloween as Black Halloween. Similarly to the way they referred to the stock market crash 4 years earlier as Black Tuesday. So, because of all the issues that were, happening, and of course it already started off, there was literally a guide written about how this was traditionally a place where people could play pranks, the day where this was okay. So because it started off that way, and it just kept getting worse, people didn't know how to handle it. They considered banning it in several cities and a plane. But in other communities, the response was to organize Halloween activities for the young people, right? Such as the creation of haunted houses and that type of thing. But on top of that, they'd also started to organize trick-or-treating parties, costume parades, and such. So that is how a lot of the activities that we do now actually started, was to kind of just chill out the kids and the young adults that were losing it because it was tradition, that was fine. So because the vandalism got really bad in the 30s, the police got involved and more things were happening. It's understandably, the police were like, we can't be messing around anymore. Let's organize more things, kid police and such. this person was quite fancy, and someone came in and said, no, 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 we're destroying it now. Just a little wild. But the owner, apparently very kind-hearted, a well-regarded ear, nose, and throat doctor, hence the autographed opera singer posters. Like, he worked on a lot of opera singers for their throats. Asked that they'd only be fined $500, $5,000 still in today's market, in the damages. So the settlement specified that the boys work until they'd made enough money to pay off that debt themselves. In some towns, Halloween extended into a week's worth of more of misrung doorbells, spooky far-off lights, and vanished kitchen implements. For instance, the night called Moving Night sometimes was where household objects, gates, shutters, and other items were always moved around. So maybe they take your gate and like throw it in the back. I don't know. But elders were quite upset, obviously, and kept a sharp vigilance over their property. And I can see how, over such a long span of time, getting very frustrated with all of this. Then there was a additional night, because this is, if these places where it would just last throughout a week, that was called Doorbell Night. So this is when the boys would go around sticking pins in doorbells so they'd constantly ring. And I feel like if it was a week straight of that, I'd lose my mind. Like, oh, today's gate's gone, what's tomorrow? Oh great, it's doorbell night. Like, I wouldn't be able to handle it. I thought like senior pranks were enough. A week of Halloween pranks. F off, The merely spooky did turn sinister again. I mean, before, in the very early, like 1900, people had corpses hanging up. But children were rioting in some places. In 1945, near Coo Beach in Toronto, for unknown boundaries of, like, you know, land, and it ended up becoming boundaries of people within society. And mischief was really noted to, those that weren't necessarily from that area. So mischief was the soul of Halloween, but when it became violent, it had stopped, which leads us to the bad boy crew we discussed, because that was a bit of the history of Halloween pranks. So the deployment of these bad boys as cops that the Omaha police had commissioned and planned would subvert this holiday that was itself a subversion of ordinary life. I like how some of these articles are written that I choose. Omaha wasn't the only city to actually do this bad boy thing. Many other towns threw parties, the haunted houses, which was literally created for this, or, you know, there were other incentives, but none that were as well received as the bad boy police. So in 1938, trick or treat.